Tonight, on the program, environmental crisis or benefit, fishes were found floating in a swamp in Bangkok's Makkasan area. A call for dinner brought the government coalition united, but all attention was on the end of Thaksin's 6-month parole. And an alarming fraud allegation has caused energy absolute stock to plummet by almost 30% today. Good evening. You are watching Thai PBS World Tonight, where we give you latest update and important news of the day. I'm Frank Kanshi.
And I'm Nabunak, and we'll begin tonight with a huge story of the day as fishes were found floating in a swamp in Bangkok's Makkasan area yesterday. And meanwhile, the Bangkok governor, Sithipan, was at the swamp this morning to witness the district officials collecting the dead fishes for disposal. And that has been a huge story since yesterday. And what you're seeing right there is tons of people coming out to the swamp just to collect the fish. And these fishes are known as pla mong kang dam, or also known as Blackchin tilapia, which were found floating in Bangkok's Makkasan swamp. And that has urged people to go out there and catch the fish by themselves. And that took place yesterday. And one of them actually told reporters that they went to the swamp for the floating fish because they wanted to eat it themselves and to give it to some of those fishes to their relatives as well. So this is something that we don't get to see really often, just people coming out to the swamp to collect the fish in the city as well, because this kind of atmosphere, we would normally see them in rural areas where agriculture is a common thing in other provinces. But in Bangkok, this is something that we don't get to see really often, and that was like a huge frenzy.
Yeah, it's very actually rare opportunity for us to see these fisher people to come to the swamp to get the fishes.
And up close as well.
Yeah.
And in fact, even though it kind of excited the people, but it is a huge problem, especially among district officials, because the director of the Ratchathewi district said that he is worried about the discovery of these fishes in the swamps, and even talked to the fisheries department, the Department of Drainage and Sewerage about ways to deal with the fishes, which appears to have spread to many watercourses throughout the country, not just in Bangkok, but in other provinces. There were fishes like these as well, such as in Samut Sakhon and the Nakhon Si Thammarat provinces as well. And officials from the Drainage and Sewerage Department reported that they had closed the sluice gates for maintenance on Monday morning. And that has resulted in low levels of oxygen in the water and causing all of these fishes to float onto the surface. And the swamp is connected to Samse Canal, from which water is drained into the swamp and discharged through the drainage system into the Tilapia River. And it is also reported that these fishes have been found in the waters of Thonburi district as well. But we have to explain a bit why Blackchin tilapia is such a huge issue here, because Blackchin tilapia is a major threat to other fishes and other aquatic species, aquatic life rather, as well as the vegetation in water courses. So think about a fish that eats everything in the water and all the crops that you have done.
Yeah, and this is very dangerous for the local species, because this is the alien fish species for Thailand. And when, of course, these alien species come into our chain, and they could easily destroy our
Yes, they destroy everything.
Too.
And because they eat almost non-stop. They eat everything and spread very quickly as well. That's why it has been considered a threat to agricultural communities, and now we're seeing it in Bangkok as well.
As what you said, normally it's in suburban area or other provinces rather than in urban area. But right now we see it in Bangkok. So that's why the fishery department say that they will have a thorough investigation into who is responsible for the spread of Blackchin tilapia, the alien fish species imported from Ghana by a major private company, has been detected in many watercourses in Thailand, including in Bangkok's Makkasan swamp. and is posing a threat to indigenous fish and other aquatic species. The private company sought permission to import the fish species in 2006 for experimental breeding and species improvement as a potential new source of protein. The company did not, however, import the fish until 2010, when it sought another permit and imported 2,000 Blackchin tilapia from Ghana for breeding on a fish farm in Samut Sakhon. The experiment was unsuccessful and the fish were destroyed. Last Thursday, the National Human Rights Commission published a full report on its investigation into public complaints about the impacts of the spread of the fish species. The report says that the company imported 2,000 Blackchin tilapia in 2010, but most of them died on the long journey from Ghana, leaving only 600 alive on arrival. According to the organization, the company claimed it had verbally reported to the fishery department about the failure of the breeding project and the disposal of the dead fish. It also insisted that it was not responsible for the spread of the fish in the water courses. So actually, back to 2010, there were only 600 alive on arrival. But right now we see in Makkasan area, in the swamp, people can go there. And one of the, of course, the citizen gets 100 kilograms of it. Wow.
This is a huge phenomenon. Like, no one ever expected these kind of fishes to even come to Bangkok because, like we said earlier, we would be familiar with these kind of fishes in suburban areas. And even local people were told reporters that these fish species are not that common. It is expected in some of the agricultural areas, but suddenly it actually increased suddenly, like rapidly. So this is why many people, many of the authorities are very on alert on this issue because it does destroy other fish species and even other things that are related.
And how the authority can control it actually, because right now you can see it, just everywhere because it's not just in Bangkok, other places too. So how the authority can control the increase of this species in our water, very important.
Right, and now let's move on to Thai politics. We've been reporting stories of how certain parties may disagree with each other with the policies and the implementation of it, whether it's the digital wallet scheme, the cannabis policy, and many other things, or possibly some hidden agenda among political parties and in parliament. But recently, the Palang Pracharath Party hosted a dinner party for all coalition parties last night, and that was the third reunion over dinner. And of course,
the heart shape.
The heart-shaped hand gestures, and you can see that everyone was doing it. But this one, it often indicates that the coalition parties are still on good terms, and many times politicians would do this, especially when there are rumors of conflict, internal conflicts between certain politicians or certain parties. And this is what we have seen last night. And like everyone looking so happy, all the leaders of the coalition party, and that was led by Prime Minister Sethar Thavisin. There was Anutin Charnvirakul, Phumtham Wechayachai, and many other people in the coalition. So the host was represented by Thamanat Phrompao, the Secretary General of the Palang Pracharath Party, and Police General Pacharawat Wongsuwan, the advisory chief to party leader General Berwit Wongsuwan, who was absent. And other guests, as you can see, there was Prime Minister Sethar Thavisin, there was Pathongthai Shinawatra as well, and many of the key members of the coalition party as well, including Anutin Charnvirakul. And of course, all eyes are not on the party, but the topic that people really want to know was about Thaksin Shinawatra. Pathongthai was asked about her father, who will complete his 6-month parole in August, and she said that in light of the rumors that Thaksin would become the advisor to the Prime Minister, Pathongthai responded that his experience and vision could be utilized for the good of the people and the government, because there have been rumors that Thaksin might be considered for a position after he completed his parole, especially the role of the prime minister's advisor. But even though Seth has said that they have no plans to have Thaksin as an advisor to the prime minister, but if he really wants to do that, it wouldn't be that difficult because Pat Tong Tan is the daughter of Thaksin, obviously, and she's also the Pheu Thai party leader as well, and Sethar is the prime minister representing Pheu Thai party. So if Thaksin is going to have a position, then it would be certain to begin with. But there has been a response from Wisnu Krungan, who's currently the prime minister's advisor. He actually said that he can be an advisor and there's nothing strange about it because his parole ends on August 22nd. And once his parole ends on August 22nd, then he's free. And in fact, he doesn't have to have an official title, but it could be just someone who gives advice to anyone anyone at Pheu Thai or in the government.
I mean, Thaksin, if he really wants to become the advisor, he wouldn't have the problem to get in. But I think the problem is if he really becomes the advisor, the political wave will come in, as in the opposition party or some critics, they already criticize if Thaksin really have the foot inside the political, the government, it would mean that maybe the Prime Minister Sethar Thavisin would be controlled by Thaksin. But of course, this is just the critics and some opposition members, they talk about it. But it's just quite controversial, isn't it? Because if, you can imagine a former Prime Minister, a very, very important figure in Thailand's politics, and right now wants to become the advisor to the current Prime Minister in the government. What will happen?
I think it's quite expected to begin with because you know how everything is Pheu Thai-led government.
Yeah.
So if they're going to choose Thaksin as one of the advisors, then it is expected to begin with. And even though there's no official title, Thaksin can still have an influence over the decision of anyone in the ruling government to begin with.
Especially, he's a very important figure in Pheu Thai party already.
Yes.
And people might consult him for the political moves in the future. So it's very expected if he could become the advisor to Prime Minister Sethar Thavisin.
And not just expected, but if it does happen, it will be certain.
Yeah.
And it's actually no surprise to begin with. Ever since Thaksin returned to Thailand and got his parole, and if he's free and his parole ends, and then he has a role in the government, then nothing is surprising. And it's like everyone has guessed it from the beginning to begin with. But anyway, we will see what happens after his parole ends in August.
Yeah, it's very close. Yeah, we will see how it goes. This is the political wave we see, but how about business? Because we right now see money moves very fast in the stock market for Energy Absolute. This is one of the largest renewable energy provider in Thailand, but right now they are facing crisis as well. The management level of Energy Absolute was accused of procurement fraud. The company has appointed new chairman Somjai Ekrakul as the new CEO to stabilize the investors' confidence. The Security and Exchange Commission has filed a case with the Department of Special Investigation and Anti-Money Laundering Office for the legal action against alleged fraud procurement of that former CEO Songpod Ahut and deputy involved in the purchase of equipment overseas and software for a solar power plant since 2013. This alleged fraud was worth about 3.5 billion baht made through to EA subsidiaries, according to the SEC statement. The shocking allegation has destabilized EA stock performance, as you can see on the screen right now. Today, the trajectory has raised market sentiment to question if EA financial health is not vigorous amid Thailand's weak economy and the fraud allegation. EA's stock performance today has worsened as it has plunged more than 76% year-on-year basis, and the allegation has halted any attempt of recovery. While EA is one of the largest renewable energy providers in Thailand, the company is facing to pay its debt in total of 37 billion baht. The new CEO, Somjainek, said he will assure to repay 3.2 billion baht debt to financial institutions and another 5.5 billion baht debt in debentures from its cash flow from solar energy and wind energy plants. While SET has removed the SP mark, which means trading suspension this morning, EA stock dropped almost 30% to 9.2 baht per share. This is a very, very huge news in Thailand stock market as SET. Right now, they try to stimulate the stock performance, but right now, another big company is fallen. And of course, the EA right now, Energy Absolute, they have the new CEO in to help. But of course, this is very, very devastating news for EA right now, although the fraud allegation right now is just under investigation, but the stock performance has destabilized at this point.
Whenever there's a fraud allegation, of course, it will affect their stock markets to begin with, and it's also the reputation of the company as well.
And that company reputation is very, very important, as in right now, I think year-on-year basis on July 2023, the price of EA was around like 50-ish, and right now only 9 baht per share.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. There's another issue in Thailand economy too, because of course right now Thailand's Prime Minister Srettha Thavisin tries to use stimulus to revitalize the economy, including digital wallet scheme. But many international organizations, they say that the Thai government actually should focus on long-term policies. There has been overwhelming focus on Thailand's short-term economic stimulus and how to combat immediate hardships. The World Bank lowered its economic growth forecast for Thailand this year by 0.4 percentage point to 2.4%, citing delayed approval of the government budget bill for fiscal year 2024 and weaker than expected export growth early in the year. Despite the sluggish economy, the Bank of Thailand has kept the policy rate at 2.5%, despite calls for rate cut. The BOT argues that it needs to safeguard financial stability. The central bank is also worried that a lower rate could encourage people to accumulate more debt, as past experience has shown an increased inclination to borrow when the interest rate drops.
The public debt is projected to rise to 64.6% in fiscal year 2025, and the government has projected that public debt will rise to 68.6% of GDP by 2028 as spending needs rise.
Pro-growth measures aimed at stimulating consumption, such as the digital wallet scheme 10,000 baht, have added to this pressure, the World Bank warned. And the World Bank also said that to revitalize the economy, the government need to accelerate the development of secondary cities. Thailand's urbanization has been heavily focused on Bangkok. Bangkok is one of the prime global cities enjoying a strategic geographical position within Southeast Asia. The development of world-class infrastructure and transportation networks has fostered economic growth and activity within the city and surrounding areas. But of course, the World Bank wants the government to build up the secondary city, kind of upgrade the secondary cities' qualities and everything about long-term policies. Of course, we talk about digital wallet scheme there, 10,000 baht might be dispersed by the end of this year. And yesterday we talked about the Thai citizens could register for the digital wallet scheme since 1st August. But how about the long-term policies there?
So we've been talking about the economic challenges, and we have to say that many people, especially in Thailand, have been affected by this as well, especially with the higher cost of living and trying to make ends meet. And this is among the reasons why people choose not to have children. And we have to say that the birth rate in Thailand has also been declining to a point where it has gone below the death rate. And in 2022, only 485,000 newborns were recorded in Thailand. And that's the lowest number in 70 years. And if the situation continues, it is also predicted that the Thai population will decrease from about 60 or 70 million people in Thailand right now. It will decrease to only 33 million people in the next 60 years. But there are several other reasons why people choose not to have children. And this is not only unique to Thailand, but also nearby countries in Asia as well. So the Department of Health Deputy Director General Ekachai Piensi Wachara explains that the declining birth rate is not only happening in Thailand, but also in several countries, whether it's Singapore, Malaysia, or China. As he explains, more women are receiving better education and therefore have other choices in life without considering to have children. And although the government has short-term and long-term policies to increase the birth rate as well as improving the quality of healthcare, the challenge to implementing the policies is that it requires collaboration with many sectors while also tackling the mindset of the people and the economy.
เราพบว่าการจะทำ policy ที่สำเร็จได้ต้องอาศัยความร่วมมือจากทุกภาคส่วนแล้วก็เรื่องของทัศนคติของประชาชนด้วยจะทำอย่างไรที่จะทำให้สังคมเศรษฐกิจของประเทศไทยเนี่ยมีอยู่ในสิ่งแวดล้อมที่แบบเขาจะเลิกกังวลในเรื่องของการมีปัญหาเรื่องของรายได้ตรงนี้ถ้าเราส่งเสริมเรื่องของอาชีพเรื่องของรายได้แล้วก็ส่งเสริมการเลี้ยงดูบุตรให้มีความพร้อมเนี่ยมันก็สามารถก้าวข้ามอุปสรรคตรงนี้ไปได้และนั่นแหละครับเราจะเห็นแสงสว่างที่ปลายอุโมงค์แต่เรื่องนี้เป็นเรื่องท้าทายเพราะหลายๆประเทศที่ทำเนี่ยบางประเทศให้เงินอุดหนุนแล้วก็ยังไม่สำเร็จเนื่องจากการสภาวะการครองชีพที่มันสูงขึ้นในปัจจุบันเพราะฉะนั้นสิ่งนี้คือเป็นโจทย์ที่ยากที่อย่างไรต้องเป็นวาระแห่งชาติที่ต้องมาร่วมกันทำ
Meanwhile, UNFPA Thailand's head of office, Lakchien Wong, acknowledges that Thailand is facing a declining birth rate as well as becoming an aging society. Therefore, what is much more important is not about increasing the birth rates, but actually improving access to quality healthcare and improving the quality of living for all individuals, from newborns to the elderly, as well as to ensure that every pregnancy is wanted.
Declining birth rate for us is not one of the urgent problems because we have many urgent problems to be addressed at the same time. We need to make sure that every pregnancy is wanted, every pregnancy is planned. So even though we increase birth rate with some kind of unplanned pregnancy or the pregnancy that from the not quite ready couples, that is not the right way to develop the population quality, because we need to make sure that every birth is safe, every growth up or the whole life cycle approach is being taken care in the way that is already planned, and with not only services from the government, but for the individual accountability themselves as well. We need to make sure that all the health, education, and economic stability, and all the environment are built in the way that everyone, every gender, every age, and every people are enjoying the benefits and access to the services that they are entitled to equally.
And recently, UNFPA Thailand organized an event with several government agencies on the occasion of World Population Day on July 11th to raise awareness of global population issues and also to celebrate the 30th anniversary of the International Conference on Population and Development, or ICPD 30.
So I think it's very important because as in right now we see the economy has grown and the social status of women has changed. So of course women and men of course join the education very fast. And right now we have different mindset about having children. So the government policy is really important to stimulate the birth rate in every country.
Exactly. So it's up to the government now to implement effective policies to encourage people to get married and have children while also having to improve the healthcare system as well. All right, and that wraps up tonight's edition of Thai PBS World Tonight. Join us every Monday and Tuesday at 6 p.m. on Thai PBS World's Facebook and YouTube Live. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week. สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีครับ